All right. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining today. My name is Claudiu Leverenz. I'm CEO and co-founder of Monevo. And today I'm going to talk to you about how we are using technology to empower people with disability. The workshop will go into detail about what is the current technologies that are out there. And I will show you also the solutions that we provide and where this is going to be. And I'm going to also try to incorporate a small demo so that you really can understand how this solution works that we are providing for people with disabilities. So thanks for joining, and let's start. All right, thank you very much. And once again, welcome to this workshop where we're going to talk about how we enhance mobility experience by using a smart wheelchair control and predominantly using smart glasses as a technology that hasn't been used in this kind of area before, because most of the time smart glasses, they tried to enter the market for consumer, but then didn't quite make it, and now are being used in more industrial use cases. And now more and more, there are more use cases that are also used for people with disabilities, for blind people, for autistic children, but also for people in wheelchairs. And I want to start with a short story. This is Dirk, and he is one of our test users. We met during our clinical trial in 2018, and we got to know his story. And his story was he was traveling the world. He was working for a big corporate here in Munich, Germany, where we are based. And he was traveling the world until he got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Because of his diagnosis of multiple sclerosis, Dirk will not be able to be independent anymore. He will have to use a wheelchair to stay mobile. And at some point in time, he will not be able to control his wheelchair with his own hands anymore. And he will depend on special control systems that are currently out there. And this is how they look like. And I think you can understand already the challenge that the controls are mechanical, they are big, they are uncomfortable, they're stigmatizing, and even more, they're hard to adapt. So people really depend on it 24/7 and depend also that the solution is working and can be adapted easily. And we have already developed a feature, and it's called Monevo Drive. Monevo Drive is the first wheelchair control system that is using smart glasses as its base technology. The smart glasses themselves, they come with a range of features such as a speaker, a microphone, a camera, and a display. And through our software, we make these features available to the user. The solution itself is a medical device class 1, which is already certified in Europe and has been used by many different users already. The way it works is quite simple. The smart glass itself has integrated sensors, and we use those sensors to track head motions. And I will show you later how it works. The head motions then are calibrated, and this can be done by the user him or herself at any time. It takes just a few seconds. And through that, he can adapt it according to whatever situation he or she is in right now. The signals that we track to the head, through the head movements, through the smart glass, are sent to our own developed power adapter that you saw in the pictures before. And this power adapter can connect within 5 minutes to any standard type of power wheelchair. Already now, the solution is being 100% reimbursed in 5 countries, and we're trying to integrate it in more countries as we speak. And by that, not burdening the user with costs, but taking into account that this is a medical device, a medical product that has been reimbursed and can be reimbursed by healthcare payers or healthcare insurances. Our vision is going much further, and it's already happening right now. The solution has become much more than just a control system. It has become a platform that combines multiple different features in one. We already can control robotic arms, which allows us or the user in the end to grab things, to eat, to drink, all by him or herself. We can also use already the integration by combining the smart glasses to the phone and use it as a communication device. Being able to call your loved ones makes it so much easier to communicate and integrate in your daily living. What is also very important is the integration to your home environment. We call it Monevo Home. Monevo Home integrates with your speaker system, with your TV, with your light system, with the blinds, so that you can control everything that is around you. Monevo Drive is the core of it, but all of these software add-ons make it much more able for the user to become more independent. So this is just a summary that I wanted to share with you, and it's just a quick snapshot about how easy it is to use Monevo Drive and the existing add-ons and software features, because it's really a plug-and-play system that not only benefits the user, but also the healthcare therapists and everyone else that is working in the maintenance part also. It is less stigmatizing because you will see it just in a second. It's really just like a glass that you wear as a normal glass. The different features that we combine allow us to connect to other devices in your home, in your surroundings. And as a matter of fact, we can even save costs over time for healthcare insurances, which makes it then quite interesting why this solution can be reimbursed over the other solutions first. That wouldn't have been possible without an amazing team in the background, and I just want to highlight them here quite quickly and shortly. We have a very well-balanced team that are super motivated to help more and more people, and we are supported by medical technology experts and doctors that have supported us in our clinical evaluation and continue to help us with evaluating what makes sense and how to continue to support our users. So just here you can see again Dirk sharing with us what he thinks about Monevo Drive, and I think this pretty much sums it all up. And I want to thank you and also reach out to you, and our call to action is like, help us empower more people and enhance their life by bringing us together with all people that you know, from people that work in clinics, for therapists, but also with people from the industry. We're really eager to get in touch and learn from your experience so that we can provide a better experience to our users. And now I'm just going to stop my screen share. And I'm going to switch over to the smart glass demo just to quickly have you also understand what I'm actually talking about. So the glasses themselves, as you can see them here, I put them on just like my normal glass. I can also integrate it with the glasses of the user, so we can attach it to any type of glass, so that also people with spectacles can use the smart glasses. And now what I started, and I hope you'll see it, is a small application on my phone that I already prepared. This mirrors basically right now what you can see here on the small display of the smart glass, but you wouldn't be able to see it because, yeah, you cannot look inside here. So that's why we call this app the mirror app that shows you what I see. So now you can basically see a small orange lock. This means that the glass is locked. So people lock it for drinking, eating, for talking, because as you'll see in a second, the glass reacts to different head motions. So right now I want to unlock the glass, and for doing that, I tilt my head to the left for 3 seconds. All right, just a sec, need to see where it is. Here. So that is the calibrated value. So again, to lock it, I tilt my head to the right 3 seconds. You see how it fills up. It also gives me an audio signal that it clicked and it's locked. So again, to unlock, I need to tilt my head a bit far because it was calibrated like this. And now you see a menu where you can basically swipe to the menu with your, usually you would swipe with your finger, as you would know from the smartphone, but you don't do it with the finger, you do it with your head. So basically this is how you can control the menu in the application, and you have here add-ons, support, and then, for example, we were in settings before. So I want to go and select settings once, and I do that by nodding down once. So this is how I select the menu settings, and now I'm in the settings menu. I can do the same movements, and now, for example, let's switch up the volume a bit. I select the volume, and I'm going to increase the volume, hoping that you might hear the volume and the voice feedback that provides the user not only visual feedback but also audio feedback. So again, if I want to go more down, this is the last level. So I would need to exit the menu, and I exit the menu by doing a nod up. And this is how I'm back in the main menu. And here, for example, you find driving. But right now, I cannot show you how the wheelchair drive. I hope you could see that in the video before. Here you have seat. Here you can access the camera. And then when you're ready, you select standby, and the glass is turned off. And this is just my phone turning off the application as well. So with that, I hope you could see and understand a bit how the solution works. And right now, we're really eager to learn more from you, and I'm happy to answer any questions, happy to stay connected. Find out more on our website on www.munevo.com and reach out to us. Happy to hear back from you. Thank you very much and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Claudiu, for your sharing. What an impressive solutions. Let's see if we have any questions for you here online. Okay, we have a question. Would it be possible in the future that Monevo be able to enable or facilitate the driving of a car or vehicle by people with limited mobility? And what do you think would be the challenges for that?
Oh, thank you very much for that great question. So we already thought about it and have some very nice ideas and prototypes that we thought in the limited mobility space, especially in a car. So driving a car would be possible, but the challenges are really that like the head motions would need to be somehow filtered. And since it's a bit of a dangerous situation to drive the car without any practice and without any like security, we don't think that it's yet possible. However, in the mobility space or in the car vehicle, there are secondary functions such as turning on the radio or turning on the heater, and things like that can be easily integrated into a smart glass solution that will allow people to just have more possibilities to control their in-car secondary functions. Also thinking about the seat and all these other secondary functions. But yeah, really, really good question there.
Oh, okay. Well, still, we will be looking forward to see how it goes.
Definitely.
Yeah, the next question is there any evidence-based study on the impact of Monevo, and how would you illustrate the impact on the user's mobility and independence?
Yeah, also another great question. Thank you very much. So as mentioned already in the video, we do have a clinical study that is showing the impact and comparing it also with the alternative drive control systems that are out there. However, we didn't stop there. We are in constant like feedback loops with our users. We just recently did a survey of like how well they are doing and if there are any challenges, but like we got a net promoter score of over 96%. So basically saying that people in 96% of the time would recommend to use Monevo Drive. So that was something that was like making us really motivated and proud to continue. So the next step would actually be to do a health technology assessment. So really digging deeper into the life quality measurements that there are. So for this study, we're currently recruiting and seeing if there are hospitals that want to participate in this kind of study, and hopefully then also conduct it by next year.
Oh, that's very impressive results, aren't they?
Thank you.
Okay, now the next question we have here is, okay, does it require a calibration process by a professional? And is it possible for the user or his or her caregiver to complete the calibration by themselves?
Yes, so another great question. Thank you. So it's really the calibration works by the user, him or herself. There's no professional needed anymore. And that is the big advantage that we have here, because most of the time when you look at the mechanical solutions, the user would not be able to use his hands anyways to, attach it or put on the screws differently or push it. It would often have to be the caregiver that comes and tries to like bend it so that it works. And that's not really good. And oftentimes it will break down. So with our solution, the user can do it really by him or herself without the need of any professional or without the need of his or her caregiver, which is something that gives people much more freedom and much more independence at the end.
Okay, good to hear that. So it's possible that, we can do it ourselves at home, right? Now, the next question is about the local market. Are you thinking about the Hong Kong or Asian market? And, what kind of collaboration or partnerships would you be looking for?
Yeah, so we are targeting actually the whole market. We are very much, we're reacting very much to the people that reach out to us. So users, write us on our website, write us per email and ask for the solution. And we, most of the time, just like pack our bags and drive there. So that, for example, we have even a user in Norway, Trondheim, which is like very far north in Europe. So we are targeting the whole world. We try to help as many people as we can with the solution. In terms of partnerships and collaborations, we would need to also understand the healthcare system in Hong Kong and the different Asian markets, because that's our goal, right? We want to integrate it into the healthcare system so that people don't have to pay for it, but it's reimbursed or covered by some kind of healthcare budget. For that, we need to talk to the healthcare system professionals. We also always work together with therapists, clinics, and other medical distributors, and for sure also wheelchair manufacturers that can integrate the solutions already from the wheelchair side on.
Good to hear that, and thank you for having such lofty idea and passion. And it's really good to hear that. Now we have another question here by our online audience. Now it says here, the system requires quite some neck muscle control and a fair amount of cognitive abilities. So can you expand on that?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for that great question. So the benefit of the solution when we come back to the calibration is that you can calibrate it very, very lightly. So we need around 2 centimeters of movement in the head mobility to calibrate it. In the video, it was quite extensive because it was calibrated like that, but we can really calibrate it into like 1 or 2 centimeters like degrees, which even then doesn't even look that you're using your head to control the wheelchair, but people then say it's like with the eyes. And with regards to the cognitive abilities, this is something that we emphasize a lot on. That's why we created this audio-visual feedback system that not only gives the user visual feedback to the screen and the information on the screen, but also reads the information out loud so that the user has a double feedback basically in the end to make sure that he or she knows where exactly she is or what she's doing. And then through our clinical study, we also emphasized on how easy it was to get used to the solution compared to the other solutions where we let them drive 5 different parcours and we stopped the time each time with our solution and with the alternative solution. And we only had like a 10 minutes of introduction and free driving, and people were having the same times in the parcours. So that can show how easy it is to use it in the end, or learn how to use it.
Right. So I can see that, from the questions, we have a lot of interest, here in Hong Kong on your product. So actually, the product is actually available in Germany, right? So it's under the insurance system at the moment.
Yes.
I see.
Yes. So it's also available throughout Europe already, and we're actually going to be also available in the US pretty soon, next year actually. So we always need to figure out the regulatory pathway. In the European Union, it's the MDR regulatory that we comply with. In the US, it's the FDA that we comply with right now. So I imagine that also in Hong Kong and other Asian markets, there are similarities or agreements in place that would confirm also that we are complying with the regulatory requirements of that specific country.
Sure, you will be hearing, very soon from this part of the world. Now, another question is how would Monevo Drive be able to cater for the needs of those people with involuntary head movements, such as those with cerebral palsy or Parkinson's disease? Would that be possible?
Yes, so thank you again. This is also a very good question. Involuntary head movements, such as, for example, if a person would sneeze or be scared and quickly move his head around, is something that we already can filter out through our software and the algorithms. However, for example, spasms that are sometimes controllable or in the same direction, we can also filter those out. But the ones that are random and uncontrollable that occur very different, this is something that we're still working on. And that is very hard to filter out yet. We have some ideas and we're trying and doing some testing right now, but we haven't found the solution for the random spasms, which is, like you said, in Parkinson's disease. Maybe also a little bit on Parkinson's disease, because we do have, it's called a filter or a tremor damping. That is something that if somebody has a shaky head, for example, then inside the calibration in the first seconds, we create basically a filter around the movements that are shaking, and only the movements that are going outside of this area will then be taken into account. So there's different safety mechanisms and features included into the calibration that will allow a person to drive Monevo Drive, even if he has tremors or spasms.
Right. Well, thank you, Claudiu, for your time, and thank you for a marvelous product. And we look forward to seeing it here in Hong Kong very soon. And thank you very much. So goodbye for now.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely event. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pooja Viswanathan, and I'm the CEO and founder of Braze Mobility. I'm going to be talking about trends in smart wheelchairs. I'll be going over past, present, and what we can expect in the future from this sort of technology. I want to start off by sharing the story of David Watson. David Watson is a long-term care resident who had been using a power wheelchair for many years. But a few years ago, the staff at his long-term care facility were about to take his powered wheelchair, his only means of independent mobility, away from him. You see, David drives in a tilted position and often can't see what's around him, and so he was having accidents. And so staff felt that they needed to choose David's autonomy or the safety of everyone in the home. This is not just David's story. 20% of power mobility device users experience at least one collision within a year, and 11% of these users are hospitalized. Accidents like these results in exclusion from the use of power mobility devices altogether, even when no other alternative for independent mobility exists. I saw this as a violation of a fundamental human right. So why should you care about this problem? Well, most of us drive cars, and we wouldn't drive a car without mirrors. But of course, adding mirrors to wheelchairs isn't really practical or feasible because they would just end up being knocked off as people went through doorways and so on. Also, more recently, most of our cars already have blind spot sensors in them that have been mandated in the automotive industry. So why shouldn't wheelchair users have the same right to peace of mind and safety? There are over 3.7 million wheelchair users in North America, And according to researchers at the US Department of Veterans Affairs, up to 91% of these users can benefit from smart wheelchairs. Now, here's just a breakdown of the publication. This was a publication by Dr. Simpson in 2008. And I think this is a great, a very, very comprehensive review and a breakdown of all the different diagnoses and the symptoms that some of these populations experience that might necessitate the, or at least these users might benefit from smart wheelchairs. And so here, as you can see as an example, if you're looking at spinal cord injury population, it shows you, back in 2008, the number of individuals that would need a chair, a wheelchair. This, of course, includes both manual and powered wheelchairs. And according to his analysis, up to 100% would benefit from smart wheelchairs because these users often experience issues with head and neck movement that might make it difficult to see what's around them. And so he does this for several diagnoses here. And so as you can see, this need for smart wheelchairs isn't really a very niche population within the wheelchair user population. In fact, there's a really, really wide population of manual and power wheelchair users who can benefit from this technology. And so it's not so much as a nice to have as it really is an absolute necessity. A little bit about me. So I completed my doctoral and postdoctoral research in robotics and assistive technologies. I've been working with smart wheelchair technology for over a decade now. And my story actually started in the long-term care setting, very much like David's story. I saw a lot of residents there slumped over in manual wheelchairs who didn't have the strength to self-propel, and they weren't being allowed to use power mobility devices because of safety concerns. And so that's really what prompted me to start research in this area. And then after several years of doing research, getting really frustrated that there were no commercial systems that could actually address this problem. And so when I started the company back in 2016, two of the main kind of drivers for me in terms of developing all of the technologies at Braised Mobility is, first of all, the research evidence. What does the research tell us? What does the clinical evidence tell us about what is most appropriate for users? And also looking at affordability, because of course, a lot of our end users often can't afford assistive technologies. And so one of the key considerations when we were building the system was to look at how we can create a technology that would either be affordable for someone to pay out of pocket, or that would at least be fundable by some funding organizations. Okay, so really, if we kind of step back and look at all the different sensor technologies that are available today for wheelchairs, I like to categorize them in three sort of areas. So the first area is what I will refer to as monitoring systems. The second is feedback systems, and then the third is control systems. So let me explain what I mean by each of these. So starting with monitoring technologies. Now, examples of these would be backup cameras or mirrors. You can think of these technologies as I guess, equipment or technology that monitor the environment and display the information as is. So for example, a camera that's just showing an image of the environment, or a mirror that's showing you, what's behind you. Now, the advantage of these systems is that they are low cost. They're typically tens or hundreds of dollars, usually less than $500 USD. Now, a disadvantage of these is that they tend to be visual interfaces only. So both in the case of backup cameras and mirrors, of course, you need to have a certain visual ability in order to understand what's around you. And so the disadvantage then really is that these systems are not accessible to users with vision loss and blindness. And then on the other side is control technologies. Now, examples of these would be collision avoidance systems. So wheelchairs, for example, that automatically stopped if they detected an obstacle. wheelchairs that have crowd following features or steering correct features, self-driving wheelchairs that we talk a lot about. So there's a huge number of functionalities that, these really smart wheelchairs that have that perform some sort of intervention in terms of control. There's really a lot that has been researched. We're starting to see some technology in that area. And so these sort of technologies perform various driving tasks semi-autonomously or autonomously. Now, an advantage of these systems is they really can offer increased opportunities for mobility to those who cannot safely operate power wheelchairs because they have cognitive limitations or motor control issues. Now, one of the major disadvantages of this system is, unfortunately, they're not appropriate for users who cannot understand when or why the system takes control. It's not appropriate for those who cannot identify when a system malfunction has happened. And in the case that a malfunction does occur, if they cannot override in time or cannot override at all. And this is generally the case if someone does have, certain cognitive limitations or motor control issues. And so what that means is that we unfortunately here have a paradox where the kinds of clients that this sort of technology would most benefit are unfortunately also the clients that the system, that this sort of technology might not be appropriate for because of just the level of safety that these technologies are currently at. And so I think it's going to be a long time before we start to see systems that are safe enough and perhaps really need to be fully autonomous to be able to truly offer new opportunities for mobility. And this is, of course, very analogous to some of the self-driving technology we see in cars. While that technology is becoming more and more mature with time, we have yet to see self-driving cars that can actually be used by people with severe disabilities and actually offer them opportunities to drive a car where otherwise they might not have. And so I think we're still a ways from that. However, that is obviously the ultimate goal for a lot of these systems is, what can we do to help people to become more independent and mobile. And so because of this situation, a lot of the work in semi-autonomous and autonomous control is typically the kind of work that we see in most of the research that's happening. Perhaps because most of the research is being currently driven by individuals in the area of robotics. And so obviously a lot of these individuals are really interested in applying robotics and automotive technologies to the wheelchair space. So there has been a lot more research done in this area of control versus monitoring or the feedback technology that I'm going to be talking about. A lot of this work, a lot of the work in this space has actually been done by myself. And here's just a sneak peek into some of my publications in this area, which is then, of course, a small proportion of all of the work that's been done in a semi-autonomous and autonomous wheelchair control. So I definitely urge you to look at what's there in the space. And a lot of these issues that I talk about with regards to, who the system is appropriate for and some of the disadvantages of semi-autonomous and autonomous control can be found in a lot of these publications, especially the one that I have bolded there. And you can find all of these publications on the website listed below. Okay, so that brings me then to the main focus of this talk, which is feedback technologies. An example of this is the Braze mobility blind spot sensor system. Our sensors can be installed on any wheelchair, manual or powered, and we detect obstacles and provide feedback to the user regarding location and proximity of the obstacles through intuitive lights, sounds, and vibrations. So, and a couple of advantages of the system are that it is multimodal, which does mean that it has increased accessibility for users who might have several types of disabilities, including hearing impairment or vision loss, etc. The system is also affordable. Now, the disadvantage of the system is that it is not appropriate for users who cannot understand and or respond to the alerts, which might be true of individuals with severe cognitive impairment. Now, the research evidence does show that individuals with mild to moderate cognitive impairment might still be responsive to alerts. So I would certainly encourage trialing the system with those users before determining that that they are not able to respond to the alerts in the system. Okay, so the specific system that I am going to be showing you and demonstrating is the Braze blind spot sensors, which are the world's first blind spot sensors for wheelchairs. The system is able to restore dignity and independence back to the user, reduce caregiver burden and stress, decrease property damage, and increase safety, not only for the user, but others in the environment as well. Here, I'm going to play a video of some of our customer testimonials, as well as a detailed video on how our feedback works.
2 years ago on Christmas Eve, literally they dropped this wheelchair off to me. Within hours of me getting in this place, I had pretty much destroyed my apartment.
Done a lot of damage in my house and on my furniture and knocked a lot of things over unintentionally. And after a while, you just start ignoring it because you're either constantly frustrated with the damage you do. And so now it's kind of like 2 or 3 dents in the wall a day is just normal.
So what I have here is the Sentinel. It's 180 degrees of horizontal coverage and about 45 to 50 degrees of vertical coverage. So this is the controller that displays all of the visual feedback that the system provides. The blue light tells us that the system is on and that it's in the first mode, which we call the short range mode.
Now, in short range mode, the sensors detect obstacles in the warning zone within 2 feet, displaying a yellow light, and in the danger zone within a foot, displaying a red light. If I press down on the big red button, I can switch to the long range mode indicated by 2 blue lights. Now the sensors detect obstacles in the warning zone within 4 feet and in the danger zone within 2 feet. So that's double the distances of the short range mode. Please of course note that all of these distances are customizable, but what I'm showing you right now is just the default values and the detection distances. Now I want to show you the audio feedback. So I'm going to turn on the audio switch, which is done by just simply pushing that button from the top. And now when I come in, you're going to hear a beep as we enter the danger zone. Now note that the audio only beeps when we're in the danger zone and not in the warning zone. We did this just to prevent annoyance from excessive beeping. Now lastly, we have the vibration feedback. So what I'm holding in my hand here is a vibration module that can be inserted in the backrests or the armrests or the seat cushions. We can have up to 3 vibration modules that plug right into the bottom of this unit. And what the vibration module does is very similar to the visual feedback. You receive vibrations when an object is on the left, the middle, or the right. And here's what our customers have to say about our technology.
To have a device back there that is literally watching my back is an amazing feeling.
When we added this sensor unit to the chair, it was just amazing it gives you an alert before you hit something because you don't do it intentionally. I think that anyone who's using a power chair would benefit from the situation, and there's even situations where it might be beneficial to someone in a manual chair or even someone who's just has issues looking behind them.
I was a Marine for 4 years and contracted Agent Orange in Vietnam there, and lost both my legs above the knees. And then a few years ago, I started losing my eyesight, and that's been the biggest challenge of everything I've gone through. But with the Sutton device mounted on my wheelchair, it's really made life easier for me and safer. It just all over. It gives you a sense of security and less anxiety because you know that it'll let you know if there's something or someone or a child in the way, and you don't have to worry about hurting someone.
Now, in terms of where we're going in the future, I would like to show you a quick demo of a system called Moena, which is the module for obstacle avoidance and navigation assistance. In this system, we offer all the feedback from the Braised blind spot sensors that I showed you earlier, but in addition, we also offer the functionality to automatically slow down and stop the chair. Now, while this system is not something that we are providing as a commercial system for use in day-to-day sort of settings, because of all of the reasons that I mentioned earlier around some of the concerns we have around clientele and how it would be used and whether it's appropriate. But what we do see this system being useful for is perhaps in training settings under the supervision of a therapist. And where I see it being the most useful is actually clients who might have some anxiety issues when they're just learning to drive. And perhaps a system like this can give them that error-free learning environment that would help them actually understand how to use the system, perhaps lower their anxiety and build up their confidence. And the goal would be to eventually wean these clients off the Moena module so that they're just using the blind spot sensors and actually driving safely, independently, rather than with the system controlling the chair. So here's just an example of how a system like that would work. So in this case, we're demonstrating it just using a directional pad, but you can see that the system stops in the direction of the obstacle, but still allows the client to move in other directions. This system did win the OT Inventors Showcase Award at the AOTA conference last year. In addition to this, we are also going to be rolling out a data analytics platform next year, which will revolutionize wheelchair training and assessment, and also provide additional insights and data to help us build smarter cities through smart mobility. And so we're really hoping to be part of the bigger dialogue around how to make our cities more accessible for people with disabilities. I'd like to end this presentation by going back to David's story. This is a recent photo of David, and as you can see, he's still using his power wheelchair thanks to the Braze blind spot sensors. David now has independent mobility and dignity. Staff can support his autonomy and independence without compromising on safety. David's friend and advocate has peace of mind, because at Braze, we believe that mobility is a fundamental human right, not a privilege. Our mission is to help millions of wheelchair users all around the world navigate fully, independently, and safely. If you'd like to learn more, please contact us at info@brazemobility.com or visit our website at www.brazemobility.com. Thanks so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sara. I'm one of the co-founders of Voiceitt. Thank you so much for joining this virtual session with me today, making voice technology accessible for people with impaired speech. It's an honor to be here. Our mission through Voiceitt is to empower people with non-standard speech to communicate using their own voices by building accessible voice technologies for products and services everywhere, to give people with speech disabilities their voices back. Voiceitt started from a personal experience. In my case, it was my grandmother, diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at age 40. By the time I was born, she had lost most of her motor capabilities, and most of all, her speech was highly unintelligible. You can see me on the slide. I'm the young girl in the red dress. Even as a young child, I felt her pain and frustration because it was so difficult for her to communicate even basic human needs, like I'm thirsty or it's cold. This is the day-to-day reality for millions of people around the world with speech disabilities. Children with cerebral palsy and autism, adults with degenerative disease, including Parkinson's, ALS, multiple sclerosis, and situations like brain injury and stroke. For many of these people, the simplest tasks, ordering a coffee, asking for directions, saying "I love you," is nearly impossible. So the story of my grandmother and the thousands of others around the world who have since reached out to us were our inspiration to develop Voiceitt. Voiceitt is the only speech recognition technology company designed to recognize non-standard speech. Our core technology learns the person's unique way of speaking and then can translate for them in real time. Our machine learning mechanisms continue to learn and adapt. So even if the person's voice changes over time or during the course of a debilitating disease. Our first product with our underlying core technology was launched this year on app stores. It's a mobile application that learns the person's unique way of speaking, and with the accessible communication solution, translates the person's speech in real time, enabling the aging adult and person with non-standard speech to communicate and be understood by family members, medical professionals, and anyone else in their lives. It is customized to each user's unique speech and usage characteristics, regardless of the severity of the person's speech patterns and unintelligibility. Because it is personalized to the speaker, it also works in any language, and we've been able to test in multiple countries and languages in Europe, in the US, in Israel, and in China. So I'll show you a little bit about how it works. Each user can choose from a list of everyday scenarios or build their own dictionaries by adding expressions that can fit their lifestyle and preferences, whether it's ordering a coffee in a coffee shop and being understood, taking transportation independently, or simply introducing themselves or expressing their wants and needs to a medical professional. Voiceitt then learns how the user pronounces those expressions. The user will follow those prompts on the screen to teach the software his or her unique way of speaking by repeating the word or phrase a few times. It's a simple, accessible user interface so that if the person has mobility or dexterity impairments, in addition to atypical speech, the app is as accessible as possible for these individuals as well. Once the person has created their personalized dictionary, they will tap the accessibility button on the screen, and Voiceitt then listens to the user's unique speech.
Can you please open the ramp?
And that's how it works. Voiceitt recognizes the expression and plays the output. I'll play it again.
Can you please open the ramp?
Our core technology has very unique positioning within the world of accessibility technologies and automatic speech recognition industry generally. There are amazing technologies out there to help a person with speech disabilities to communicate. And these include eye tracking devices and communication boards. While these can be extremely helpful and empowering, they essentially work by bypassing the voice altogether, rather than enabling the person with the speech disability to communicate in the most natural means there is, their own voice. On the other end of the spectrum, as you can see on the left side of the screen, for standard speakers, automatic speech recognition is not designed for non-standard speech, whether it's the major players in the space and other technology companies working in voice. So Voiceitt has this kind of sweet spot between assistive technologies that bypass the voice altogether, and then standard speech recognition systems that are increasingly popular among mainstream consumers, but are not designed to recognize atypical speech patterns correlated with a variety of underlying medical conditions and disorders. Our technology is a patented AI-powered speech interpretation system, translating and recognizing and translating from unintelligible to understandable. The machine learning mechanisms enable automated improvement. So as the person uses it, the system is designed to get more accurate as it collects data on that specific user. We've also built a large data set or database of non-standard speech samples that have been collected and continue to grow as people use our application. This is unique in the space in that we've created this large database of non-standard speech patterns. Additionally, the technology is designed to recognize more than just speech. Because a person with speech disabilities will have a very unique way of speaking, it may also include characteristics like pauses or guttural noises. This is essential for our algorithms must be able to understand and recognize these non-speech sounds in order to be effective for impaired or what's called dysarthric speech. As I mentioned, it also is language independent because it's personalized to the speaker for this version of the technology. That means that the algorithms utilize individual speech training and inputs. So the person trains the software and then they can use it right away to speak with other people. Our integrated system combines on-device recognition with cloud-based machine learning. So what that means is that although the person will be connected to Wi-Fi while they are, or to the internet while they're training the system, and occasionally when the machine learning takes place, while they are using the application for the recognition phase, they don't need to be connected to the internet. And this is essential for individuals who are using our application in everyday settings and don't want to be or can't be reliant on consistent Wi-Fi. We've made a lot of effort and investment to engage our community during our development stages. And we've engaged early adopters around the world through our partners to develop our product with us and make sure that we're not just building a cool technology, but really addressing the needs and preferences of our users. We've worked with partners who are disability organizations, rehabilitation hospitals, and care centers, nursing homes, and elderly care facilities around the world to get us to this point and build this version of the product. We're excited also to continue to expand and collaborate with others around the world and with new partners to help us to continue to build this product and address the needs of our users. We've also been able to build this technology through a creative combination of government grants and corporate cash prize competitions. Our investors include Microsoft's M12 Venture Fund and the Amazon Alexa Fund, in addition to AARP, which is the largest nonprofit organization in the United States, serving aging adults above the age of 50. We've also been able to develop our technology through government grants and corporate cash prize competitions, including Microsoft's AI for Good Prize and government grants through the European Commission and the Israel Innovation Authority and others. So we've learned from our community that our first product enabling in-person communication is empowering and transformative. But now, in a world increasingly activated by voice, in a new world of smart speakers, smart homes, smart cars, all voice enabled, we could do a lot more. Many in our community, aging adults, currently rely on 24-hour human caregiver support for their basic everyday needs. Voice technology can provide a whole new level of independence and quality of life. However, many of the people who can benefit from voice technology the most cannot access it because they don't have standard speech. And that's where Voiceitt comes in. Our second functionality, in addition to enabling in-person communication, is enabling people with speech and motor disabilities to connect with the Amazon Alexa voice assistant and others to perform basic human tasks, turning on and off a light, adjusting the thermostat, playing music, setting an alarm, all of these things that they may rely on others to do for them, to be able to do them independently using their voice. Let me show you how it works.
Say Albert.
Playing songs by Herb Albert from Spotify on GIES Epic.
Awesome.
Oh, I couldn't keep it off. I went to a 10-o'clock class, so that was my break.
Okay.
Through this unique integration, people with speech impairments can use the Voiceitt mobile app to access and interact with the smart assistants, the voice-based smart assistant. We were able to expand our technology offering to facilitate not only in-person communication, but also interaction with voice-activated and controlled devices, tapping the power of mainstream voice recognition. There's no better time in human history to be involved in speech recognition. For people with disabilities and elderly, with situations impacting their motor control, the ability to navigate the environment and control smart devices by voice, especially during and after the global COVID-19 pandemic, can decrease reliance on human caregiver support, helping to maintain social distancing practices, while also opening up possibilities for more independent living. Ultimately, our goal and vision is Voiceitt Inside, unlocking voice-enabled products for people who need it most, so that people with atypical speech and elderly can equally benefit from this new world of voice-based smart industries and the power of voice. We're so excited to be here today and have the opportunity to present. The Voiceitt app is now available on app stores, and we're also seeking opportunities to collaborate with you, whether it's through testing, pilots, research, joint grants, exploring integrations through new tech partnerships, and simply engaging the community. Again, thank you so much. We're excited to speak with any of you watching this who share our mission to leverage the best that technology has to offer to improve the lives of elderly and people with disabilities. Before I end, I'll close with the voices of our users.
Hello, I'm Michael.
Hello, I'm Wendy.
And
this is our life with Voiceitt.
They developed this wonderful scene which you will see. Alexa, light on.
Okay. You have no idea on how many doors you're going to be opening for so many people.
Alexa, TV off.
Like I said, you have no idea how much this means to him. No idea. We waited for this for so long, and we thought that this would never happen. Okay. This is such a wonderful gift in so many ways.
Again, thank you very much for this opportunity. We look forward to connecting with you. Thank you.